introduce Dr. Giridhar Lal is a pleasure because he is a scientist here at National Center for Cell Sciences, Pune. And he has been very active in the Society of Immunology and Inflammation and Research. And not just that, he's also the editor of our journal. Dr. Lal received his PhD degree from Indian Institute of Science and Bangalore. He was assistant professor at Mount Sinai School of Medicine, New York, before he returned to India in 2010. His keen interest is understanding cellular mechanism and molecular mechanisms of immune tolerance. His lab is investigating the role of, excuse me, can you just put up the slide, please? His lab is investigating the role of chemokine receptors, signaling and neuroimmune communication in inflammation and autoimmunity. He has published 50 papers and presented his work in about 150 national and international meetings, received several national and international awards, including the Ramalinga Swamy Fellowship and Innovative Young Biotechnologist Award from Department of Biotechnology, and the Swarna Jayanti Fellowship from Department of Science and Technology, Ministry of Science and Technology, Government of India. We are all very enthusiastic to listen to Dr. Giridhar Lal. So please take on from here, Dr. Giridhar. We are waiting for your session.
Thank you, Renuka. Let me just share my slide. Can you remove this slide and let me share? Good. Can you see the slide?
Yes, yes.
Perfect. Okay, very good morning to all of you. I think what we learned from last 2 days, since yesterday we are learning about a lot of innate immune cells. And this morning, Moni actually explained very nicely how macrophage, how it interacts, what are different types, what are their phenotypes and function, how they participate in inflammation. To continue that, again on the innate immune system, what I'm going to discuss on role of NK cell. So another important cell, like what we heard about the macrophages, how NK cell participate in inflammation and tolerance in the inflammation model, or infectious model, or in cancer model, or in so briefly, what we see is that when is part of again innate immune cells, and when we go to the lab and try to identify them, there are different markers. Very briefly, in the key marker when you're looking at human NK cell is the CD56, which this marker you can identify NK cell. If you go into different experimental model in mice, what you will find that in some strain of mice, a marker expresses something called NK1.1, while in other same marker is not expressed in other strain of mice. And for that, there is another marker people use to identify NK cell. So fine, then you can go on and identify these cells. And if you look at in terms of distribution of these cells, it's almost 5 to 15% of total lymphocytes in the PBMC, and accounts for that's in human, and 2 to 5% lymphocytes in mouse is spleen. And in mouse, if you go into the liver and then see the number is much more. So liver has a lot of NK cells, which is 5 to 10% in mouse. And in human, it's almost 30 to 50% lymphocyte. Now, if people they might be wondering why there is so many NK cells, which are the lymphocytes, which are NK cells in the liver. We may touch upon this, that why NK the liver has to be there, and why innate immune cell like NK cell has to be there. And NK cell represents almost 10% of total lymphocyte in the lung. That's the famous, the well discussed nowadays organ, which is lung. So in lung, you have almost 10% of total lymphocyte, which are NK cells. What they do, how they work, I think that's an interesting area, and how they participate in viral infection like current viral infection. Another organ in uterine lymphocytes in placenta, if you look at NK cell, almost 70% of lymphocytes in the first trimester of pregnancy is the NK cell. Now, what NK cell does here, what NK cell does do in the lung, what they do in liver, and how they participate in the infection model, and how they participate in tolerance, and that's how probably the pregnancy where allogenic are the the fetus is allogenic, is still tolerate survive in the body, how these NK cells, which accounts for a lot of these cells, help it. I think we'll see some of these things in the talk. Yes. Now, so Bani has already mentioned to you that there are two groups of lymphocytes from hematopoietic stem cells, the myeloid lineage and lymphoid. Among the lymphoid lineage, if you look at something called as common lymphoid progenitor, which differentiate into the ILCs and also the B cells, and when as they differentiate, they acquire NK cell phenotype. So you have common lymphoid progenitor where B cells are also formed, T cells are also formed, and with sequential developmental pathway, NK cell is also formed. So that is why you will see that some of the cells which also they are NK cell but also have this T cell marker that is induced the invariant NK cells, that we call it NKT cells. And as they move on to maturation process, they acquire different marker and then finally mature. Now, where this happen and how this happen, let's look at more detail in that. So in bone marrow, you have hematopoietic stem cell, and then the NK cell precursors are formed. They mobilize to different organs like liver, thymus, lymph node, spleen. So the bone marrow also they mature, and once they are the precursor cells are formed in the bone marrow, they mobilize to different organs, and different organ also participate in the development of NK cell. Fine. So you have different organ, different location where they are formed, but precursor cells comes from the bone marrow and then mobilized, and that's how. And further movement of from one organ to other is also known for the NK cell while the development. Fine. So what we know that NK cell, what we discussed that one of the markers CD56 in human, that if you stain with the flow cytometry, you will be able to locate or identify NK cell. But is that true? What we saw that there is a lot of NK cells mobilizing in different organs, each one of them having different markers other than the NK56, CD56. Now, what is heterogeneity of NK cells in a given individual, and how many different types of NK cells is possible? And that's why technological advancement, there is something called the mass flow cytometry, mass spectroscopy based flow cytometry, where you can actually stain for the identify 35 different markers in one go. And almost so what these people has done is that they have taken monozygotic twin and also unrelated donor, and what they found without that, what we see NK cell just by looking at one marker, they really do not represent what they are. They are really very heterozygous in nature, and almost 30,000 different phenotype of NK cell can exist at any time in an individual, which may be for performing different function in different tissue at different time point. So that gives the width of the length and width of the diversity just among one cell, the NK cell. All right, when we look at distribution in different tissue, so does the NK cell, what you see in different organ, lung, mesenteric lymph node, intestine, bone marrow, blood, spleen, are they are homogeneous, are they representing different? So there is a study done and published in the Cell. What it identifies, I'm not going through all this data. What I wanted to point out from all this study is that each one of these organ, if you see this blue color, their distribution pattern change between the organs. Between other, if you look at other cells, some are more, some are less. So each one of them, the NK cell in different organs are different. They do express different marker. Probably they require for a specific function in specific tissue. So this talk about the distribution pattern of these markers in the different tissues in the body. All right, how do the NK cell decide? Like NK cell mostly because natural killer cell, as the name suggests, they are cytotoxic T cell, and we know that other cytotoxic T cells of immune system is CD8 T cells. So for CD8 T cell to work, what they require is antigen processing and presentation through MSC molecule. So if antigen is specific, the cytotoxicity is achieved by the CD8 T cells, they require MSC class 1. But how does NK cell decide whom to kill and whom not to kill, whom to spare? So there are different strategy with time, and there are different model has been proposed. And now I will say two words to introduce. There's something called inhibitory receptor, and there's something called activating receptor expressed on the NK cells. And in one of the earlier model is what is shows that arming model, where the inhibitory receptors, when they undergo education, they must interact with MSC class 1. So the NK cell, if they interact with MSC class 1, that means they actually do not kill that cell during the training if they are required. This they have proved by the experimental model, which I'm not going to discuss here. But what they showed is that you require MSC class 1 interaction for them to educate in a way that they should not kill the cell. And that is what we know, that all the cells in the body express the MSC class 1. And that is why the NK cell in the cell do not kill all the cells except in certain conditions. Disarming model, where the activating receptor interacts, and if they do not, if they generally they are thought that okay, by default they are bound to be like active cells, but they actually get suppressed when they actually they interact with this the inhibitory receptor. So this model also doesn't hold much true. And then there's another model was proposed, that the cis interaction, that means the inhibitory receptor and MSC has to be co-expressed in order for the NK cell to be responsive, which is practically not possible. And then this model also fails. So rheostat model, where then further it was proposed that the molecules like inhibitory receptor must interact with MSC class 1, and the activating receptor also interact with them, and depending on now the signaling strength coming from each one of these receptors. So let's say if inhibitory receptor got more signal, so let's say 5 molecule of inhibitory receptor is there and only 2 is there, so obviously the signal which is going to come cumulative is the inhibitory signal is dominating. And now in that situation, the NK cells are inhibited. That means they are not going to kill the target. But if something happens that this number drops down and this number goes up, now overall signaling strength will be more towards activating, and now NK cell decide and kills. So it's if I put this in if I put this in other terms, that we are talking about receptor which are inhibitory in nature and the receptor which are activating in receptor. So it's not just one receptor of activating or one receptor of inhibiting receptor. If you look at in the literature, there are a lot of molecules expressed on NK cells which are acting as activating receptor, like NKG2D, CD94, Li49D. You can keep on listing these. And there are n number of molecules expressed on the NK cells which are inhibitory receptor. So now they have to have the cumulative signal coming from these receptors to decide is NK cell is going to functionally cytotoxic, or they are not going to respond to the target cells. Now, if you look at these different HLA molecule, each one of these receptors interact with different class of MSC class 1 haplotypes, and that's how the variability also dictates that how variable the immune response is going to be. Now, that is what I was telling you again in reiterating this, that the NK cells, when interact with healthy cells, they have to find out that there is an optimal signal. First thing, they must have inhibitory signal. So what happens in case of virus infection or in the cells which are having stress condition, the class 1 MSC goes down. And now the inhibitory signals do not receive optimal signal, and then NK cell decide that okay, there is something wrong and they need to be killed. And that's how they dictate and kill the target cells. So it depends on which signal, which is the cumulative side, activating receptor side signaling is more or inhibitory receptor signal is more. That's going to decide that how the NK cell is going to decide for its cytotoxic activity. So so it's just not just one signal, it's just like cumulative, which I said, that the number where it tilts, if it's towards more activating side, it will going to go cytotoxic signal to be dominating. All right, how does the receptor work briefly? So you have a target cells, they express MSC molecules. So like one of these the inhibitory receptor is NKG2A. When they bind, then they interact with these molecules, then signal is passed, and these signals activate cascade of things, and that's how it either inhibit the activating signal so that the activation doesn't take place, and then NK cells do not respond to it. And now in case of activating signals, when these ligands are bind, the activating receptor like NKG2D is bind to its ligand. Now the phosphorylation and other cascade of signaling takes place. Now you have the cells become active, hyper responsive, and then become participate in the cytotoxic activity. All right. So what we know in adaptive immunity that with they also the like CD4 T cell, B cell, and CD8 T cells, they have memory type cells, memory response. So now people are wondering that does NK cell also have some kind of memory response? And in literature, what people has found, yes, NK cells do so. Even though part of the innate immune cells, they also show some memory-like phenotype. Some of the examples are given here, like here, heptane. If you sensitize an animal with heptane, and there is a lot of molecules which actually activate NK cells, and in the liver, you will have heptane-specific memory cells. And whenever, so these cells are found, and when you re-challenge with the same heptane again, with the help of some of the receptors present on NK cell like HGG2, which are expressed much more dominantly on the memory like NK cells, and they immediately respond to it. So what this suggests that the NK cell also have memory phenotype. They remember what they have acquired to. Similar in the case of viral infection, MCMV, where the cells, when NK cell get infected, there's a molecule called Li49H. These are activating molecules, and these molecules are expressed on knife cells. And when they actually, when these cells actually expand with the help of IL-12, IL-18, IL-30 produced in the local microenvironment, they also acquire the memory phenotype. And these memory phenotype, memory NK cells can eliminate virus-infected cells. And whenever there is and then end up with something called contraction phase, and stay as memory cells and distributed in the different part of the body. And whenever there is reinfection comes, these cells immediately take part, and then they participate in removing the threat. So one thing you remember, and the different from the NK cell, what you see, the memory cell, what you see in the T cell versus memory cells, that the T cells need to expand before they work. I mean, among them there are something called effector and the central and effector memory cells. But NK cell by innate in nature, they are always ready to kill. So they don't require all the time to expand and then do it. Although they do expand, but for that function is not required much. There are certain cytokines which where the NK cells, when they are exposed, they also participate in the acquiring the memory phenotype. And whenever there is infection, some of those cytokines goes up, they actually immediately have a much more potential to produce cytokine and cytolytic molecule like perforin and granzyme. So there are memory like NK cells. The memory phenotype also exists in NK cells, and they participate in the inflammation. How does this NK cell work in terms of cytotoxic response? So let's say there is a target cell. First thing what NK cell does is through the cell adhesion molecules, they identify the target cells. Once they are identifying, then there is a microtubule distribution between the synapse at the synapse region. And because of this distribution of microtubules and also the secretion of molecules like granzyme and perforin, now because perforin secreted by NK cell forms a pore in the target cell, granzyme enters through it, and once granzyme is enzymatic nature, it keeps up the proteins in the target cells, and because of that, the non-target cells are destroyed. That's very interesting, looks very easy, but I will discuss at the end that this part is very, very interesting thing to understand how a cell specifically target and kills without even leaking the something what is called bystander killing. All right, let's move on to the next part of the thing. How does other than the cytotoxic activity, what we see that how other different ways NK cells actually function. So you have healthy cells, you have inhibitory receptor, and the NK cell also express lot of Fc receptor, the receptor which binds to the Fc portion of the antibody. So the Fc receptor and inhibitory receptor in that situation, because it has received inhibitory signal, it won't kill, and that's why tolerogenic signals will be activated. Now, in tumor cells, the activating ligands, if they are dominating and inhibitory, if the more activating ligands are formed, now this can go into the in terms of the cytolytic activity, depending on what is there in the tumor microenvironment. So, because they express a lot of Fc receptor, what people make advantage of this to trigger NK cell, like we know that a lot of immunoglobulins, lot of these biologics are used for destroying the cells. Rituximab and a lot of antibodies are known, which is used in the biologics, which are antibody in nature, can be used. So what happened? Let's say you have a target cell where NK cells, the antibody binds to it, irrespective of whatever target you have. The specific antibody will bind, and the Fc region of the antibody will interact with the Fc receptor present on NK cells. And now, once you have this cross-linking, the cells, NK cells, undergo cytolytic cleavage, the activation, and destroys the target because of this interaction. So it's called antibody-dependent cellular cytotoxicity. So similar way, and that's one of the advantage that when you use, let's say, B cell depletion antibody, let's imagine this is B cell rituximab. Now NK cell will bind to the Fc receptor and destroy all the B cell in the case of rituximab, if we are discussing about. Another example where the way NK cell is work is like, I'm taking one example here. This is antibody which recognize the SLAM-F7. Now, what are different ways actually it can actually destroy the target cell, which are expressing these molecules. Now, one way directly it binds NK cell, and then natural cytotoxicity, which we discussed, that inhibitory or activating receptor. Other way, this antibody can bind to the target molecule, which is this, because this antibody is specific for ilotuzumab, which is target for the SLAM7 melanoma cell. Now, once it binds, Fc receptor interacts, ADCC will activate, and then it will kill. So the other receptors, similar natural cytotoxicity because of receptor interaction, and also sometimes because there are the molecules which are homologous sequence, the antibody can cross-link each of these molecules. When there is a cross-linking of these molecules, that also activate the NK cell and cytotoxicity is achieved. The other cell type macrophages, that also can be activated through. So what happens in case of the antibody, either cross-link or through Fc receptor through the macrophages, which is called as ADCP, antibody-dependent cellular phagocytosis. So opsonization and other process can also trigger. So that is different ways the NK cell can work. So what I discussed so far, that different ways NK cell actually participate in immune response, either directly T-cell killing, because there is the increasing the killing potential of CD4 T cell producing the cytokine, which actually further activate other cell type. Differentiation of T cell, because once NK cell activate, not only cytotoxic, this produce a lot of cytokine. One of them is interferon gamma. When interferon gamma is produced, it actually helps the differentiation of Th1 cell, cytotoxic T cells. So you have cytotoxic T cell also activating, helper T cell activating, and sometimes in some tissue they also produce IL-10. And they actually, when they produce IL-10, because IL-10 is anti-inflammatory, they bring down or suppress the immune response. So in the local microenvironment, depending on the ligand and the activation signal, they can actually either activating or it can be inhibitory. Like interferon gamma, we know that interferon gamma is produced by NK cells, and interferon gamma participate in upregulation of MSC molecule class 1 and class 2, including close-regulatory molecules. And when the DCs or APCs are activated, more strong immune response are expected. And sometimes they also actually, because of inhibitory nature, the elimination of APC, because I discussed to you that if they target APCs, they can destroy, and once their antigen is destroyed, it can suppress the immune response. Now, when we're talking about dendritic cells, and so there is two ways to communication. One, dendritic cell can induce NK cell activation, or NK cell also kill the dendritic cells, which we discussed to you. Like if you look more closely, there are different molecules. The way NK cell work is either contact dependent or by producing different cytokine in a contact independent manner. And when dendritic cell produce these molecules or interact with these ligands, they actually promote cytotoxicity. And when they happen, they can recognize the target, which is like in this case keratinocytes. They can be targeted and they can be destroyed. And the proliferation of NK cell, because we know IL-12, IL-15, and IL-18 can induce proliferation signal. And they also produce cytokines like TNF-alpha and interferon gamma, which actually potentiate Th1 response. So other way, the similar mechanism operate between the NK cell and DCs. There are a lot of signals which actually, like I discussed to you, that interferon gamma not only promote the APC function, it also maturation of the cells. And also the expression of chemokine receptor. And when these DCs are activated, then they mobilized and then participate in the secondary lymphoid organ to mount effective immune response. When we talk about autoimmune diseases, like I mentioned to you, there are two parts of the same coin: the protective effect and the inflammatory effect. So the NK cell participate to damaging the cells, and then when there's a protective effect in this case, or inhibiting the dendritic cell function by producing the cytokines like IL-10, TGF-beta, and IL-13, and that suppress the other arm of immune cells. And sometimes it also induces the Treg differentiation by producing the TGF-beta and IL-10 in the microenvironment, which inhibit immune response. So it has got the protective role, and same time it has got inflammatory role. Like I said, interferon gamma, once they are activated, it drives the mammon-type macrophages, which Dr. Banu just discussed. And macrophages also help B cells and other cells, and like the different cell types are activated. And once these antibodies are produced, they can go and bind to target. And when the antibody binds to target, the antibody-dependent cytotoxicity can actually destroy those cells. So it has got inflammatory, and these dead cells or debris or autoantigen can be engulfed by APCs like dendritic cell and start the cascading effect. So it has got inflammatory as well as protective role, depending on the tissue and the nature of the signal is received. Liver. So liver has got a lot of NK cells, and in that it participate actually in a lot of diseases. Now we know that liver is a site where a lot of viruses all the time hiding. There is the role of hepatic NK cell in autoimmune diseases and also the viral infection. And if there is something disturbance with this, you will see that some of the viruses actually comes back, which is a major trouble. So probably the liver and cells are protecting us all the time. In terms of like where and how they do, it's like they can have regulatory function, which we just discussed about that by producing TGF-beta or IL-10 in the liver, so that they are a tolerogenic phenotype. They can produce a lot of cytokines, and they can actually activate the cells in the liver, and they can have inflammatory phenotype. Overall, what you see that they inhibit the liver fibrosis, induce biliary epithelial tissue damage, and also control HCV infection, promote liver injury, and inhibit liver regeneration, depending on the ligand and how they interact. If you look at central nervous system, in the inflammation in CNS, because NK cells can also mobilize there, and then all the nucleated cells express MSC1, including neurons. And through this inhibitory receptor and activating receptor, they also get glue in the tissue microenvironment, in the CNS tissue microenvironment, and that can be inflammatory in nature. If they produce interferon gamma, they actually activate the glial cells, and the further cascading effect of the inflammatory response can happen. In fact, what is known that there is some molecule alpha-syn that can be also phagocytosed by NK cells in the CNS. So there is a lot of interesting information now. Need to understand how NK cell participate in CNS inflammation and how they contribute to it. I think we need to learn more on the glial cell NK cell interaction in the CNS inflammation. Graft versus host disease, like I mentioned to you, that it has got protective effect as well as the inflammatory effect. So when it comes to protective effect, because NK cell destroy the target cells, which in this case the allogenic cells, once they are destroyed, it's having the protective effect. However, when these cells are activated and produce interferon gamma and TNF alpha, they actually promote inflammatory cell cytokines. And in that situation, the inflammation is going to be much more biased towards the GVHD, if you're talking about GVHD model. So depending on the nature and what molecule in the microenvironment, they can be, like I mentioned, there's the cumulative effect of inhibitory and activating receptors present in the microenvironment can dictate their function. All right, so in pregnancy, that's a very recent paper actually just came out. What we know that almost 70% of leukocytes in the placenta are the NK cells. And we know that placenta express unusual HLA molecule, HLA-E, which are inhibitory in nature. And how does these NK cells control in the pregnancy, and how do they help? Are they just forming a barrier around the placenta for not taking care of the infection? So what was known that there is a molecule like CD94 NKG2A, which actually in the placenta, they get education through these inhibitory receptors. And if you have these deficiency, then the pups which are born, they have reduced uteroplacental hemodynamic adaptation. And also, placental gene expressions are also controlled by presence of these NK cells. So vascularization is one of the way these cells actually do help in the vascularization of the placenta. And asymmetric growth, restriction and abnormal brain development in NKG2A deficient mice or deficient pups. And what these people has also done that in human, the similar study they have done in this paper, that if you have less NKG2A education, and then the mothers will have the trouble in carrying the baby. So the molecules present on NK cell and the frequency of NK cell in the placenta actually has a lot more to do in the protecting or reducing the thrombotic phenotype in the placenta. The model where NK cell is mostly studied is a tumor model, and we know that including on my lab itself looked at NK cells and how NK cells work in tumor. And what is known in that there's a lot of these functions which are either contact dependent or independent function. In the tumor microenvironment, they are inhibited. So essentially NK cells have cytotoxic activity, but in tumor microenvironment, they get dysregulated. And they get dysregulated this function by different molecules or cell type present in the tumor environment. Like if you have tumor cells where a lot of peroxide radicals are formed, and these molecules can destroy the mitochondria of the NK cells once they go in. So essentially NK cell lose the battle. The tumor microenvironment have regulatory T cell, MDSCs like myeloid-derived suppressor cells. They produce a lot of these inflammatory molecules, and that can inhibit the function of NK cell. The other tryptophan metabolism, which can also inhibit NK cells, the other activating receptor down regulation on the tumor, because like I mentioned that is a cumulative effect of activating inhibitory receptor. When activating receptor is down regulated, inhibitory receptor is more, the NK cell is going to lose the battle. So as here you have more inhibitor receptor present, like which can actually give the negative signal to the NK cell, and that's how the NK cell function is lost in the tumor microenvironment. And NK cell is also has got potential use, and the way people actually use this as cellular therapy is that you take the PBMC from the patient, so you have all kinds of immune cells, isolate only NK cell from here, and then activate these NK cells and transfer into the patient back, and these cells shown to have protective role, although there are limitations and there is a drawback where and where they will fail. But these are the way people actually has used NK cell as adaptive cellular therapy. The other thing you can do is that you purify NK cells. Now you engineer the receptor which binds or interacts. That's what's called as a chimeric antigen receptor. So like antibody recognized to antigen. So it's FC region of the FAB region recognize the epitope, you take that region and clone through the NK receptor in the cell. Now these NK cells will recognize the target. Now because it's a chimeric nature, chimeric NK cells, they will go inside, and if this particular antigen is tumor origin or antigen of your choice, these NK cells can mobilize in once they are transfused into the patient, and they can destroy the target cell. Other molecules like cytokines, when they are actually given in the body, they can actually promote the NK cell function in the tissue itself. And people have tried the cytokine therapy in some of the cases where and they have seen that the NK cell activity is increased, although it has its own limitations in systemic cytokines. Now, another thing is that what was discussed is that how do we understand this interaction and what we know. So its limitation, like Vani was saying, 21 micron cell size of macrophage. Similarly, here you have very small tiny cells. So if you look under microscope, even at 1000 magnification, what you are going to see is this, which you can't make out what is going on here. So you have, so what is shown here is NK cell taken from mouse spleen, or directly from the tumor, or splenic NK cell but activated in vitro in the petri dish with cytokine like IL-2. So then we thought, Meenakshi in the lab, what she did actually, she thought we can't make out anything. She went on to scanning microscope and went to 5000 microscope magnification. Now you see something here, but something here different she started looking at. So it's like what you have this, the structure which is different than what you see. So to understand more details, you went even 10,000x. Now you see this structure is more visible, and you see that the cells which are in tumor in the spleen, or the cells which is from spleen but activated, they have changed their morphology. And the peculiar peculiar feature what you see that there's a halo space. Now, what this space means, what this structure means, how does it define the function of NK cell? I think a lot more to learn. That's a famous picture she has taken from the lab, is that she actually take the cancer cells and put the NK cell together, and then see that how these NK cells and cancer cells are interacting, and with time they actually destroy the cancer cells. And in doing that, she has went on to looking at 2 lakh magnification and to understand more biological interaction closely, that how these things, and this we need to learn more about it. I think that's where I will close. Thank you very much, and I will take questions.
Excellent.
Thank you, Dr. Lal, for such a detailed, elaborate information on NK cells. It always amazes me how each cell is now taking on its, so many phenotypes are there, so many types of cells are there, and how they behave differently in each organ. Any queries are there? Any questions to Dr. Lal? I have one small question. We have been doing NK cells both in the peripheral blood by flow cytometric method,
Yes.
along with the other T cells. And we have also been looking at the IHC of the uterine endometrial tissues for the NK cells. As you very well said, because in recurrent pregnancy loss, we have been studying for the NK cells. What I came across was that both of them are supposedly different, as you said very well. That and I also read up was that one of them are CD1656 dim and other are CD1656 bright cells, which we find in the uterine cells. What problem we face is when we are doing immunohistochemistry, of course, we do not have that kind of a differentiation. So would you let me know which would be a better marker to do on an IHC to identify which are the uterine NK cells? Because sometimes we have a lot of blood mixed with the uterine endometrium when they do a DNC. So is there any way I can differentiate that this is a uterine NK cell and this is a blood-induced NK cell in an IHC? Is it feasible for me? Which marker would be helpful?
Okay, so that's a tough question. I don't think there is a right answer for this. What actually clue you can get that looking at some of the cell adhesion molecules, if you stain for them, which are tissue specific, which is present only to help to mobilize into the placenta, or so like if you look at CD62L, which is less in the circulating cells. So when they are in tissue,
CD62L.
right. So likewise, I mean, we need to look at, I cannot give right now clear answer to it, but I think there are some cell adhesion molecules which can be looked into looked on the NK cell to figure out that this might be possible, which is in placental than the circulatory.
Right. Because when we are seeing, we look for the NK cells usually on the stromal cells. But sometimes if there is an endometritis, we have a lot of lymphocytes. Then that
Right.
causes, so we have hot patches coming in. So when we do the IHC, we prefer the IHC on the tissue there, basically because the morphology is maintained of the cells and we do it along with the regular
Right. So I
biopsy.
think now
So
there are some
so
markers.
maybe I think I'll get back to you on this.
Sure, sure.
Oh, thank you so much, Dr.